Welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. This afternoon, I had Jack with me. And so without further ado, I'm going to let Jack take it away.
Okay. Hi. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So glad to be on this interview. And personally, I'm Jack, and I'm from Singapore, a bit far away from the United States. Basically, I have been running my own business since 2011, and life goes on. And I've been in the corporate world prior to that for 17 years. And one of the reasons why I decided to leave the corporate world is because I'm very sick and tired, which I'm happy to talk about later. But essentially right now I'm running my own consulting firm and training services for my clients, basically around surrounding topics such as sales, taxation, and business consulting. And I'm happy that my life's goal is basically to help as many people to start their business, to grow their business as possible all around the world. And till now, I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. That's my short introduction.
That's your short introduction and to the point of that. And
thank you.
Are you working out of Singapore as we do this interview?
Yes. You might be surprised to hear that it is actually 6:30 a.m. Friday Singapore time. But you know what? Entrepreneurs do not work on 9 to 5. Basically, when there is an assignment, they will just wake up and execute the task.
They will just wake up and do it. They will just wake up and do it.
That's right.
Yes, they would just wake up and do it, Jack. That's how I feel. Entrepreneurs don't have a 9 to 5 job. They will just wake up and do it, do what they need to do, and then carry on. And so
exactly.
When you say you got sick of the corporate world, do you mean physically sick, or do you mean psychologically sick, or what made you go into this consulting business?
Right. Thank you for the question. And when I said earlier sick and tired, essentially it's physical, mental, and emotional. Whether a person is of healthy state, of normal physical capability, as I continue working in the same firm, I remember working in the corporate world. As I said earlier, there's 9 to 5, but the truth is it is official 9 to 5. Basically, there's no such thing called 9 to 5 in the corporate world. Well, I work round the clock because I serve clients in the corporate world from all over the world. So I can't ask my clients like yourself, let's say you're from the United States, I can't say, hey, I need to sleep. I wake up and attend to your need the next day. So when I say sick and tired, essentially the schedule is pretty chaos, and I don't have a choice to actually serve, to decide who I can serve. Because when my boss said, Jack, go and serve the client, I can't turn around and say no to my boss and to my client. So the sick and tired actually has covered a few aspects. It's not an easy life, and the worst thing is there's no choice. That was my experience in the world.
There's no choice. You can't turn around to a boss in any corporate setting and say, no, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want my paycheck for that day.
Yes.
And
yes.
I don't know if you know this, but my fan base knows this. I have cerebral palsy. And cerebral palsy is a bone and joint condition. It's also a neuromuscular condition, and it's all host of good stuff. And so I'm slowly but surely leaving the office cubicle, aka teaching, because teaching preschool and teaching in general and cerebral palsy do not mix. Due to I could make a higher paycheck writing books and freelance writing and podcasting than I can teaching. So, Jack, I understand exactly where you came from. I mean, we get so run down by the cubicles And plus, we have every germ known man in the cubicle with us that we get physically sick and tired. And of course, we can't say no to bosses. We want paycheck, but we can't say, no, I need to get sick today.
That's right.
That's right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jack, what is your favorite book? It doesn't have to be business related. It just has to be a book that you go back to time and time again.
Well, I do have a few books. Of course, I can spend the next 2-3 hours talking about books I've read. But knowing the time constraints, I will just mention a couple of books. I mean, just 2 books in my mind. This book that I'm recommending now is Little Voice Mastery, which is actually written by my business coach, Blair Singer, the Rich Dad Poor Dad advisor for sales and team development, Blair Singer, Little Voice Mastery. I guess whether a person is, again, regardless of the physical state of a person, the key to survive in this business or in whatever the person is doing, it is always important to master our own little voice. And what I mean by little voice is that there's always a voice in between our ears. Whenever I want to do something, which is new and unfamiliar to me, there's always a voice telling me that, you know what, Jack, stop for a while, or maybe you don't want to do it because doing it is risky, not something that you should do. So this little voice is actually serving one purpose, that is to protect us, which is fine. There's no good or bad. But if I do not execute any task, if I just accept the little voice, it means nothing will happen, which as an entrepreneur, it doesn't make any sense. So the book is actually giving 21 useful techniques to help us master our little voice. We can't get rid of it, but we can have the techniques to overcome the little voice, to ask the little voice to kindly go away for a while so that we can have the right energy, right state of mind, and do the task that we have to do to help us accelerate our growth, our process. So this book, Little Voice Mastery by Blair Singer, is my #1 book that I always recommend people to read and to pick up. And that's actually an audio version. So for people who cannot read, due to some physical abilities, well, there's actually an audio version too. So it is pretty cool in my opinion. That's the first book.
Because
second,
our little voice is saying, don't become entrepreneurs. Stick with the steady paycheck. Well, as we mentioned at the top of the call, if the steady paycheck is making you sick and tired, you can't stick with the steady paycheck.
Yep, that's right. We like to
Makes
stay.
No sense.
We like to actually stay in what we call a comfort zone. I mean, that is the human nature. Things that we are familiar with, the surrounding that we are familiar with, we tend to stay there until something drastically happens. So mastering our little voice allow us to expand our comfort zone and perhaps to stretch out of the comfort zone. That's the key.
Yes, that's the key. And now, Jack, what is your favorite podcast if you have one?
My favorite podcast, I actually have started listening to podcasts on motivational topics. Like approximately a year ago, I became familiar with Tony Robbins' podcast, which basically is a series of motivational tips that allows me to feed my mind. So that was a very interesting one. I mean, Tony Robbins, I always thought that I can only see him or listen to him in live, but nowadays with the technologies, I can actually listen to the podcast of Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
The second one, which I like a lot, is Robert Kiyosaki's podcast called it's about business, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because Robert, as some of us may be familiar with his direct tone and attitude, he's very, very direct. He doesn't lie. He tells the truth of the good, the bad, and ugly. So that one is actually very good for us to grasp the latest economic condition where we are in, so that we are mentally and physically prepared for, let's say, environmental change that may affect our business. So these two are always on my list for podcast purposes.
So these two are always on your list to listen to and go back to listen to. And what has been your greatest entrepreneurial moment and your greatest downfall?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't get that part.
What is your greatest entrepreneurial success? And then what is your entrepreneurial downfall?
Oh, okay. Wow, that is a very big topic on its own. Again, the entrepreneurial downfall to me is I have been to the stage where I've started my business in early days. I actually had no plan. I mean, to a lot of people's surprises, I started without any concrete business plan. So the first 3 months of my entrepreneurial journey is actually something like, can somebody just give me something to do so that I can start working in my business? And literally for the first 3 months, I got zero assignments, nothing to do. I every day sat in front of my computer, waiting for opportunities to happen. So I learned a very big lesson. Again, this is how I set my mind, is how I frame my mind. If I wait for opportunities to come, guess what will happen? There might be nothing coming in to me. So I quickly realized that, well, it is important to work out and create opportunities for myself. And that fundamental shift actually allowed me to settle, to have my first contract, the first training contract immediately after I had my mind shift. And since then, I've been able to get more and more. I mean, it's just like one shift of my mind, one action, and that the chain effect just keep on coming and coming. So that was a pretty interesting journey. I also learned one more thing, that is never give up. Because to give up on something, that means I've given myself the permission to actually go back to the original state, which is maybe a job, maybe going back to work for a boss. I mean, a couple of my friends who started business earlier on have decided to return to the employment world. And never give up is one of my very important principles in my entrepreneurship journey. If you decide to start a business, just keep on working on it, because one day you never know, a big deal comes in that would make your life very different from the original one.
So if you don't plan out what you're going to do, none of the opportunities would come to you.
That's right.
Sure. If you don't plan out what you're going to do, none of the opportunities would come to you, and never give up, which is the tagline of this podcast, never give up. And so, if you had to be educated by anyone, who would it be and why? Okay.
I believe one principle in my entrepreneurship journey. I mean, this entrepreneurship journey doesn't mean that, the lessons I've learned is just for businesses. I'm a very big fan of personal development, because at the end of the day, I can learn all strategies, all techniques to grow my business. But if my mind is not ready for this, or if my if my self-esteem, my self-being is not ready for this, my result will never exceed my mindset. So while I would say that if I were to learn from other business people, that may sound logical, I actually learn a lot from Robert Kiyosaki and Blessinger. I mean, these two people are my coaches and my mentors, and basically they teach me a lot of very powerful lessons on personal development. The earlier point that I mentioned about Little Boy's Mastery by Blessinger is a very big lesson that I've taken away. If you grow yourself, if you continuously educate yourself and mind feed yourself, your results will grow. And that's very important. I mean, I would recommend people to just check out Robert Kiyosaki and Blessing on the personal development side. And the other one, which I would say helps me a lot, is actually my teacher, Dr. Richard Bandler, who is the founder of Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And you will notice the people that I recommend are more or less on the personal development side, which a lot of people actually have conveniently ignored. They always think that in order to excel in their business, it is important to learn the latest techniques in business, the strategies. But it's actually not true. From my experience, personal development is more important than business development.
I highly agree with you, Jack, because we're all lifelong learners, and personal development is more important than business development. Personal development can help in business development.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
At least in my case. At least in my case. And where can people find you, and how can people get a hold of you? And of course, we'll have all your information in the show notes.
Okay. So I have actually got a website by my personal name, Jack HM Wong. And that would be my website containing certain information that might be useful. Like I've recently started writing some blog posts on my website. And right now, I think the blog posts are around talking about how to find your niche, how to establish your unique selling proposition. So that is where people can find some pieces of useful information. My book, Cracking the Entrepreneur Code, is actually available for downloading. So if people want to understand my journey, understand my entrepreneurial journey, I mean, crackingentrepreneur.com is the link where they can actually download a copy of my book to learn my lesson. I mean, hopefully people will learn from my lessons without going through these lessons by themselves, which can be painful because mistakes actually cost money. It is always better to learn the mistakes from other people without causing them any financial harm. So these would be the two places that I recommend. Mm-hmm.
And is your book available on Amazon?
Yep, my book is also available on Amazon.
Okay.
So that it has to reach out to international readers.
Oh, yes, it does. It has to reach out to international readers. So yes, Cracking the Entrepreneur Code is on Amazon, and I think I will pick up a copy myself because now I want to read Jack's book and learn his lessons. But before I let Jack go, I want Jack to ask me a couple questions that he's been interested in asking me.
Oh, sure. Okay, so my turn of asking a couple of questions. First of all, thank you for allowing me to be on the show. And it's very interesting your show is very different from other people's shows because the name itself is Butterflies of Wisdom. So how do you come up with this idea of Butterflies of Wisdom? Why butterflies? Why not other types of insects?
Why not other types of insects? Why not other
why not other insects? Why not other animals?
I believe that the metamorphosis from the caterpillar and from the tiny little caterpillar in the cubicle makes us strong, beautiful butterflies. And so that's why I came up with, when I was doing the rebranding of this show, it used to be called Wind Women of Wisdom, and yes, the archives of that show are still hanging around, but men wanted to get involved, and so when I started approaching men, they got scared off. They go, Win, I'm not a woman, and I want to be involved, but I don't think you're allowing me. So I had to rebrand it, and so I thought, well, why not name it something that is significant to me, the metamorphosis from the caterpillar to the butterfly, and that's what Butterflies of Wisdom is coming up with.
That's very cool ideas, and thank you for sharing. And just one more question, if you don't mind. The question is that, because I know that the podcast eventually will reach out to my people too. So to allow my people to understand your message, is there one important message, one very powerful lesson that you can share, so that when the podcast is ready, I can actually help you and help you bring this message across to my people? Most of them are actually middle-aged people. I mean, not middle-aged, sorry, I mean mid-aged people, and they have a little bit stuck on the mindset. What would you tell them?
If you can dream it, you can live it. And Jack, what you said in the middle of the interview, never, ever, 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 ever give up. Because,
right.
And Jack is laughing at me because he knows it's the truth. So if you can dream it, you can live it. And never, ever, ever give up. So never give up on your entrepreneurial dreams. Jack did the culprit thing for 17 years. It made him sick and tired. I am doing the culprit thing. I have been doing it for 11 years. I'm slowly but surely walking away from teaching. And it's making me sick and tired, but never, ever, ever give up on the entrepreneurial journey. You guys can do it, no matter if you're able-bodied or not.
That's very important message. It seems that really, like, when I speak to many people who are successful in their businesses, this never give up seems to be always on top of the list. So, yep, thank you for sharing, and I guess that's all I have for you.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, Jack, and we'll have Jack's information in the show notes. And his book is called Cracking the Entrepreneurial Code. It can be found on Amazon. I'm going to pick up a copy myself. And so, yeah, thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing your journey with us, Jack. And I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode. Thank you.